What's going on, everybody? It's me, Joel, back again with another It Starts With Me. We are so glad to have you here with us on today. We've got a excellent, wonderful individual that we'll be interviewing today. He's amazing. I met him in one occasion. I felt like we had started to develop a friendship, and we had made a commitment that we would come back and do something together. So you'll be hearing from him in just a moment. Now, first off, I need you all to go into the podcast, into Anchor, into Spotify. I need you to get into Apple. I need you to get into Google. I need you to find It Starts With Me. All right. And then I need you to like it, subscribe it, love it, and follow it and share with other people. We've got great conversations about people going through different types of situations in their lives and overcoming and doing well, doing fantastic in life. And that's what It Starts With Me is all about. Hopefully somebody will be inspired by the testimonials and these stories of people going through transitions in their lives and how they overcame. All right. So now also, It Starts With Me is every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have Monday, motivational Mike Monday at 9:00 p.m. Eastern. So you'll be able to catch that on LinkedIn and YouTube, etc. And then we have the Community Beacon still shining a light in the community everywhere we are broadcasted to help people to learn how to see freedom, the light of freedom, and to make those genuine choices that will make a difference inside their life. So be there with us every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I'll be hosting that along with Michael Seville. You can check them out. All right, let's get ready. So now today we have Arthur here with us, and Arthur Tassinello. I hope I pronounced that right. Arthur, please don't get too upset with me. All right. Now, let me give you a little bit of his bio. This guy's amazing, okay? He said that he's enjoyed 40 years of following his heart into different profitable organizations and ventures, all right? So he has done construction. He has done technology. He has done sports promotion. He has done real estate. He has done app development. He has operated a retail store. He's been an advisor and a counselor to business and people all over. I mean, this guy is definitely, he's done his due diligence to help people wherever he is. And he has what it takes to be able to do that with that type of background. But something happened in 2009, and he felt as if his life just began to collapse. He lost the business. He lost his home. He lost his wife, and he almost lost his life to a heart attack. This is a major change, and I don't know if someone else has gone through something similar to this, but wait until you meet him. So he said that God called him. He felt the calling in his life, and he was called to change what he was doing and to write. Since that time, he's authored 3 books, not 1, not 2, but 3 books. Those books are his passion, which is living, speaking, and teaching the importance of relationships, loving who you are and what you do, and how to find happiness, peace, and success through integrity and transparency. In some circles, he is known as Dr. Love, or the Love Whisperer, because the foundation of his life is built upon love, and he talks about the importance of loving people and not objects. There are 2 proverbs that are always at the top of his mind. The first is by Mahatma Gandhi, which is be the change you wish to see in the world. And the second one is by Ben Franklin. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. He said he can always continue to explain their connection and meaning. And I want you all to bring to the front now, with the love and the tenderness in your heart from wherever you are, Arthur Tassinello. What's going on, Arthur? How are you doing today?
I'm well, Joel. I'm very, very well. So happy to be here. So happy to bring my hat out of the closet to match, not quite match your hat, but at least we're hats in common for today.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's funny because you all don't know, but in while we are backstage, Arthur and I were talking about hats, and he was telling me about how many hats he has. I would love to see his hat closet. I want to see your hat closet, buddy.
One day I will bring them all out, although there'll be too many, way too many.
I think you might have me beat. I have a feeling you had a jump start on me.
Yeah, a few years, Joel. Yeah, I'm about twice your age, so.
Well, that's all right. You still look good. Whatever
Thank
your age is, you're still looking good. And I'm glad that you're here with us. I recall, what was it, a month or two ago, we had this discussion and we were talking. Uh, there was a concern, like many times, that there was like a sale going on. But we just developed a relationship right online and we started talking about a mastermind group and different things like that. Do you remember that?
I do very, very vividly. I do. It was really nice to really get to know you and know where your heart is. And obviously, your heart is big and bold and bright and beautiful. I mean, look what you've created here, and then the people that you want on, and what you want to promote. So, what you want to promote is peace and love, which is what I do. And we do it maybe in a little different fashion, but we're on the same page, and that's the most important thing.
I love it. I feel the sentiments are alike because I feel that you have that type of heart and that type of sentiment. And I felt that from the very beginning. So I definitely enjoy the friendship that we have developed and are developing. So
Same here.
let's talk about something. When I'm looking at your bio, 2009 was like a devastating year for you. Tell
Yeah,
me more about that.
yeah. So, I've had a couple of real, I guess, actually about three times in my life when all of a sudden things took a dramatic shift for me. But speaking in 2009, you may remember the whole housing debacle, right? So I happened to be, at that time, I was in the construction business and cabinet business, kitchen cabinets and so forth. Well, around 2007, things started to slow down. And by 2008, things were really falling apart. And at that time, my wife decided that she didn't want to be married to me anymore. So she left. And in 2009, everything collapsed. Now, I was thinking about, could I resurrect the business? Could I keep it going? And I could have, but it was a time when it just got this word from God that said, Arthur, you worked your whole life 24/7, no matter what business you're in. Don't you think it's time for a change? Don't you think it's time to maybe relax a little bit more? So, but that being said, my house went into foreclosure because I had no money. And then I had a heart attack, and that was all due to stress. And I happened to be at my son's house in Northern California at the time when it happened. It was over Thanksgiving. And I started getting some chest pains, and I woke him up in the middle of the night and I said, I think you need to call 911. So it wasn't so much that I had a lot of problems, but since the doctor couldn't put any stents in, he said, look, he says, I got to open you up and I got to change some of these things, change out. So it wound up being quadruple. He said, if I'm going to do one, I might as well do four. And wound up being
Wow.
bypass surgery. So no money, no house, no wife, getting healthy through from the doctor, basically. And so what was I going to do? What choices did I have? And like everything in life, I always found that the choices are always mine. They're not, someone else isn't going to come and rescue me. So what do? So you put on your big boy pants and you start to move forward. At that point, since I had also been studying Kabbalah over the years and a lot of spiritual stuff from you name it, I've probably studied it and by some very well-known people, whether it was Jim Rohn or it was stuff from Gandhi or Buddha or whatever it is. I was always on that path of trying to make my life a better life, not so much financially, but be a better person. So that was when I picked up the pen and I said, all right, what am I writing here? And what do I want to write about? And my first book was called Quantum Shift into Greatness. And I found the importance of that is what I tried to do was get people to understand that spirituality and science are really on the same page, that quantum physics really matches spirituality, that the Big Bang Theory is the same, whether it's spiritual or through science. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I didn't want to inundate people with, hey, God is here and so forth, because unfortunately not everybody believes in God. Not everybody's on the same page spiritually. So I thought that if I talked a little bit about science and you understood science and then you understood spirituality and how they were connected, that you would get to a place of, hey, you know what? I can be a better person. Maybe these things do work. Maybe I can understand that there is a greater power out there if you didn't believe in that. So that was a very important piece for me. I was also very fortunate that a friend of mine asked me to run his retail business. And he thanked God. And I say, thank God. See, I thank God in so many ways. I have so much gratitude every day for what I have. Not so much wanting more, but meeting my needs. And I know I'm going to digress here a little bit. But the fact is that when you start to understand that if you have a home, you have a roof over your head, if you have a bed to sleep in, if you have food on the table, if you have friends and family who love you, people that you love, that's really all you need. I mean, I've had the house or the bigger house and I've had the cars and so forth. But when you get back to how much do you need? Like I live in 2,000 square feet right now. Even that for me, because I'm single, even that's can be a little too big sometimes. So you don't need a lot. One car, decent place to live, good bed to sleep in, food on the table, and people like you that you can connect with and be in harmony with and be in love with in the sense of giving love and receiving love at the same time. So from there, I was, again, grateful to God that someone reached out to me to say, hey, Arthur, I have a job for you that you can do for me. And it was a 1-year intern position and it saved me. So it brought some money in because I was living in other people's homes at that point in time before that happened. And because of that, I realized that, you know what, something, I really don't need anything. I mean, living out of a suitcase was good enough. I didn't need all the trappings that we have. I didn't need to keep working and basically killing myself and stressing myself out for more. And some of the things that I had when I had the more was nice. You can go on vacations and so forth. But what we get caught up in these, not understanding what we need, but we're always going for what we want. And the wants aren't necessary because that's all they are. I want a bigger house. I want another car. I want a bigger car, a better car. I want better clothes. I want all these things. But if you really look at life, what's really important? And what's important is what's in here. What's important? What's important is what I can give to you. And it doesn't have to mean money, but maybe it's just a smile. Maybe it's just a hello. Maybe it's just a shoulder for someone to lean on. There's so many things that we're missing in life because of, and I wrote this I do a Wisdom Cafe. I have a Wisdom Cafe Facebook page. And so I do these little Wisdom Cafe blurbs every so often. And we are distracted. We are so distracted with this phone. We're distracted by the TV. We're distracted by social media, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. We're distracted all the time. How many times did you almost walk into somebody or somebody walk into you because they're walking around like this and they have no idea what else is going on? People walk into traffic and with their phone, looking at their phone and more. So we're distracted by all of these things when the real essence of life, if you want to really live it fully and wholly and be at peace in your life, go out into nature. Look what God created. Go outside. Smell the air and the flowers. Listen to the birds chirping, or go down to the beach and listen to the waves crashing on the shore. Right? See all the beauty that there is out there. Go and feed some animals or whatever you want to do. That is the joy in life. That's really connecting. And that's less stress for your life. It definitely brings you more peace. I don't know how many people out there meditate, but even if you meditated once a day or maybe every few days, and you'll find the peace within. And there's lots of ways to meditate, of course. So there is so much more in life to do, to have happiness, and create more love. I find it so wonderful. My life is so enriched by just going out and loving people. Just go into a store and just have a conversation with a stranger. Who cares? Right? Oftentimes I'll go into the store and somebody will be looking at apples. I said, "Oh, excuse me, I think that's the apple I wanted," and it makes them laugh. Right? Or you compliment the cashier, or smile at anybody walking through the store. They'll think, some people might think you're crazy, but what's the harm in that? And you have no idea how that smile or that one word or that conversation or that compliment lifts somebody up. Maybe it made their whole day, because I don't know what their life is like. I don't know what's going on in their life. But those are the things, and maybe that lifted them up to the point where they lifted somebody else up. So I'm gonna give you. This brings me to I love math, right? I really love math.
All right.
So, Joel, you and I today go out and make friends with 2 other people, and so that's 4. And then the 4 of us go out the following day and make friends with 1 other person each, so that makes 8. And then the following day it's 16, and then it's 32, and then it's 64, and then it's 128. It's always doubling: 256, 512, 1024, 2048, and so forth. So if we were doing this every day, each one of us, as we connected with somebody else, and if all of us continued to do that for 33 days,
Wow.
how many people do you think we would reach in 33 days? Yeah.
That's a powerful one. And I'm gonna tell you something. I was listening when you did those numbers, and my finger's not close enough to the computer to start adding all that up. So I want to reserve that answer to you.
Well, okay. So at the end of 33 days, we will have reached more than all the people on this planet. We will have reached over 8,500,000,000 and change. Just by, if you go out, I go out, anybody that's listening to this goes out every day and connects with somebody and uplifts their life and creates maybe a loving relationship, just a heart-to-heart relationship, showing them that you care, that you have empathy for them, that you have compassion, you're showing kindness. So if you do that every day as a new person, we could have peace on this planet. A lot of people will say, that's impossible. I say, okay, maybe it's improbable to do that, because it takes everybody finally to do that, to want to connect. But it's possible to do that. It's absolutely possible. We see it now, right, with the truckers in Canada and things like that, things going on around the world, Australia and so forth, people reaching out to other people, coming in community with other people. But if everybody did it, and I know it's like, well, I know Joe over there is probably not going to do it, but you don't know. You don't know of Mary or Sue or Robert or something. You don't know their life. So I find it an opportunity to just smile and say hello. Just say hello. Hey, hi. Sometimes people wave back, sometimes they don't, but that's their choice. But my choice is to uplift as many people as I can.
I love it. that those few minutes right there were just packed with so many, as my buddy would say, so many nuggets. That if somebody were to listen to that, it would definitely help them out in life. Just your piece on happiness and those two things that you gave out, you know, get back into nature and meditate. Those are big things. And I think that will make a difference inside people's lives because it helps people to center themselves. And it also helps them to understand that the world doesn't necessarily revolve around me. It's much larger than that.
For
I
sure.
do have a question for you, though, because a couple of times you mentioned how you felt like you heard, God speak to you to guide you in this new pathway. Could you explain that a little bit more?
Well, actually, God speaks to everybody. You just have to listen and you have to be open. You ever get those feelings all of a sudden that you need to do something, right? You get this message and you're going, what's that about? It's like turn right instead of turn left, or as simple as that. Or you get that message that, oh, I haven't spoken to Aunt Edna in years, right? And there's a reason why you're supposed to call her, or she'll call you. I get this all the time with friends of mine, and or my daughter especially, or even some really close friends. I'll be thinking about them. I go, I have to pick up the phone. Oh, the next thing I know, they're calling me.
Yes.
Right. So don't dismiss those things. Don't think that's like some craziness or some coincidence. It is something. It really is. We get these messages all the time. Will we listen to them?
That's it.
Right? Will we do something with them? Because the messages that we're getting are good messages. They're kind messages. They're messages to help you, to move you forward. And we just don't always do that. I have to tell you this story. And I have lots, but I have to tell you this story. So when I got married at 21 to my first wife. And by 23, we had a son. And 6 years later, we got divorced. So I'm a part-time dad. And as a part-time dad, you know how that is. Sometimes you don't make the weekends because, I'll say for me, I won't talk about anybody else, but you get a little selfish. Oh, I really want to do something else. I know my son needs to see me, but that's kind of the way it is. Anyway, so from age 5 to just to go on. So by the time he reaches 18, I had moved from Manhattan to Southern California. He was still in New Jersey. I would have him come out, or I'd go out to see him and so forth. But I'm still a part-time dad. I'm not a full-time dad here. So I don't have that impact that I would have if I was a full-time dad. For whatever reason, I am in California. I'm not married. I'm not looking to get married. I'm not looking to have any more children. But here I am in this parking lot. What made me want to talk to God at this point and say, you know what? I really apologize. I'm really sorry that I wasn't a full-time dad. I wasn't there for my son all the time. But if I ever had the opportunity, I would do it different. I want you to know I would be 100% different. So thank you for telling me that, Arthur, because 2 years later, God said, remember when you talked to me in that parking lot? Do you remember that? Yeah. Well, here's Anne. I want to introduce you to Anne. You guys are going to get married and you're going to have a daughter. And he didn't say that, but that's what happened. 2 years later, I meet Anne. It was like instant coming together. We got married within like 3 months of knowing each other, and she got pregnant 6 months later. So see, this is Why do I believe so much in a higher power? Why do I believe in God? Because God had given me a second chance. How many people get a second chance in life at anything? At anything. And my daughter is 30 years old now, and we have the best relationship and the best bond. I am so grateful to God to give me that opportunity to be the dad that I could have been to my son.
Hmm.
So I say I talked about this because I want people to know that you have an opportunity, that you can change. Don't ever think that you cannot change, because change is within you. If you want to be that change, if you want to see things differently, that's why Gandhi is so important. If you want to see things differently, you want to do things differently, then you have the opportunity to do that. You have 100% responsibility for your life. No one's going to give you anything. No one's going to make you change. I hope not, anyway. Right? You have to change on your own because you see parts of you that need to be changed. If your relationship isn't going well, you can change that. You don't have to live in the same place that you've always lived in your life. I grew up in an Italian family as an angry young man because I lived with my parents, who I called the Bickersons because they fought all the time. They weren't terrible to me, although my father was gone most of the time because he worked so much. That's what happened when I was younger. But my mom was very loving. My dad was missing from my life. So I had a chip on my shoulder, and I grew up and I didn't know how to have a good relationship with anybody because what did I learn? I was
Hmm.
learning all these things. So I had to go inside me. I had to say, Arthur, you need to do something different because what you're doing isn't working. And it's taken me decades to change. But I am so happy that I found a new me, a better me, a me that wants everybody to have great relationships. And so that's one of the things I like to bring to people. You can have an amazing relationship if you really want it. And when people say in a relationship it's 50-50, there's no 50-50. You may be half of it, which you can equate to 50%, but you have to
Hmm.
be 100% invested in that relationship.
That's
You have
right.
to be 100% invested in doing the right things and wanting it to work. You have to be 100% there all the time. Because if you're less than 100%, then the chances of things going well are not very good.
Very well put. We would sing a song, and whenever we were in church, we'd sing a song. It would be 99 and a half just won't do. I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
No, I haven't heard that one. Tell me
99 and
about
a half just won't do. You got to give 100%. And, you know, you're speaking about life, and we're all given this life. But that life came with a price. Our parents, they had to go through some great deal of suffering. They had to supply food on the table, roof over our head, clothing. They were paying for us to live, you know I mean,
that.
they had to work something out, and we've done that for our children. The greatest thing that we're able to do is, after the bill has been paid for, is keep the change.
Yes. Yes.
So I love that. And then I love that you had also mentioned how God gave you this second chance, and how you heard, God speak with you. I mentioned it on the community beacon, and one perspective I gave it out as the sixth sense,
Mhm.
so that people maybe could understand if they didn't have as much faith, uh, in God particularly. And that was just so that they could understand that He is speaking. You just have to pay attention.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
not like this overwhelming, overbearing type of voice, but in the quietness, which you mentioned, meditation and being in this parking garage and speaking and then just being quiet, it seems like you were able to hear something so clearly that showed up later on in life. And I think that's important. So I'll give you this, and then I'll ask you my next question. But in It starts with me. we believe that time and chance happens to everybody.
Mhm.
And that's very important that people realize the significance between time and chance, right?
Yeah.
As long as you have life, you have time. And every so often, an opportunity arrives at your doorstep. We have to be primed and ready for the opportunity, because many times we'll miss our opportunity to do something that is great or to become exactly who we are designed to be. And we don't know when or if that opportunity will arrive again. It appears to me that you took the time to recognize the opportunity. And maybe you didn't recognize it early on in life, but when you recognized it later on in life, you capitalized on it and you made the best out of it. And because of that, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are benefited by knowing you. And
Yeah.
I think that that is special.
Thank you. Yeah, it is. It, as you titled it, it begins, basically everything begins with me, because I want to be able to touch people in a positive way all the time. And that also feeds me. It's kind of like being selfless and selfish at the same time, right? Being selfless to give to other people, but on the selfish side, look what I get in return: an open heart, kindness from other people. As we give, so many people want to say, well, I don't have enough love in my life, or people aren't kind to me, or I don't have peace in my life, or people don't understand me, and so forth. But I say this: if you want peace in your life, be peaceful. If you want love in your life, be loving. If you want kindness in your life, be kind. If you want people to understand you and be empathetic to you, then be an empathetic person. See, it all starts here. It's nothing is outside of me. Nothing is outside of anyone else. I can't give you empathy. I can't force love on you. I can't force you to love. I can't force you to be empathetic. This is where the other quote from Ben Franklin fits so well. It's like, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. Sometimes you have to really think about that to dissect it. But what Ben Franklin was saying is that, Joel, I can't make you do something, nor should I want to make you do something, nor should I want to make you change your life. What, to suit my life? To change like I am? That's not the way to do things. Change yourself. When you change yourself, everything around you changes. I can't tell you how many times when all of a sudden something was happening and I changed my attitude about it and it turned around. Well, nothing else happened. Nobody else did anything different. I just had to change me to make things happen differently. And I like to talk about this because clearly what I'm seeing and what God is telling me right now is that, Arthur, you have to help people see in themselves their relationship with someone else. Most people, when I say talk about relationships, they want to just see their significant other relationship. That's all they want to see. They don't want to talk about family or friends or children or parents or anything. They just see that. And then what they see is that my relationship isn't working. So what part do you play in that relationship that it isn't working for you? What part are you giving or not giving to that relationship as to why it's not working? You really have to get deep into yourself to understand that. And it's not an easy place to be. It's not easy to really be that introspective and see yourself and see what you're doing. You may say, well, here's what happens typically. Well, if she did this or if he did that, my life would be better. Well, they're being who they're being. I've seen this when I coach people a lot. It's like, well, she's doing this and he's doing that, and they're doing this to each other. So when are you going to come together and say, I understand who you are. I understand why you do the things the way you do them. The other person has to see that in the other person as well. And then you say, look, this relationship can move forward because I'm willing to do X to do that. Or, you know what? I'm not ready to change. And you figure out what you're going to do with that relationship. But to continue the bickering, to continue the yelling or the screaming or the unhappiness in the relationship for whatever reason, absolutely makes no sense. And again, I'll always get back to look at yourself.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror. Because in the mirror is the person that is causing or not causing some of the problems. It's never just the other person, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It always starts with me. I
Yes.
love it. And earlier you had stated the choice is always mine. And I think that you really put an exclamation point on it in your last comment. This is going to be the last question I have for you today.
I'm having fun here. I'm just going to take this off for a while. It's getting a little hot in my head.
All right, sounds good. If you could go back into your life, into time, if you had a time machine sitting outside of your office right now, and you could go back and change whatever you wanted, change anything in your life, would you? Would you go back and change anything? And if so, what would it be and why?
Well, that's a very, very powerful question. I mean, that's an extremely powerful question because on one hand, if I change one thing, then everything changes. And sometimes we don't realize that because if I could go back and say, well, if I stayed married to my first wife and was a better dad to my son, gee, wouldn't that be wonderful? If I didn't change careers so often, maybe life would be better and different. But then if I stayed there, would I have missed so many other things? Would I have missed the birth of my daughter? Who that in itself, that second chance just melts me. I mean, literally melts me and gets me so emotional because we don't almost never get do-overs. We don't always get the opportunity to take multiple paths in life and to do multiple things in life and have all those incredible, for me, I call them incredible experiences. I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't, because then it would be another manipulated life or something like that, to go back in the time machine and like flip a switch and, oh, this would be better. But then you miss something else going forward. Life is experiences. It's meant to be experienced, but in the best way. I can go down the street and experience, some squirrel chomping on a nut and go, wow, isn't that great? It's like in the mornings, I happen to make juice in the morning by pressing like carrots and celery and things like that. And I realized that if I press the carrots first and then take those and put them out in the yard, it's good for the rabbit. Right? So I have a couple of rabbits that come and feed on the carrots that were pressed for my juice. So I don't mix it. So I do the carrots first and then I do everything else after that because I want the carrots to be pure for them. So I know I'm digressing a little bit, but the fact of the matter is that live consciously. Right? Do what is best in the moment. Yeah, we all want to look forward to the future and we want to plan for the future. And it also brings me to how often we live in the past. See, we only have this moment right now, this second, right? You and I, Joel, and whatever we're talking about, whatever we're creating right now in this moment is the past and is the future, right? I can't live in the future. You can't live in the future. I can't live in the past. You can't live in the past. I can't change anything that happened. We could try and obsess over it, but all we can do is, if you didn't like what happened in the past, well, change what you're doing now so the future looks brighter and isn't the same past that you were living. This moment, this is the gift. This is the present. That's why it's called the present, as in a gift, because I have the opportunity right now to bond with you in a way, to bond with this audience in such a way that they benefit from my knowledge, my wisdom of what I have gone through, to know that you can change right now. You don't have to wait for something else. You don't have to wait for your partner or your child or your parent or a friend or your boss or anything to change, to do anything different. I guarantee you this, I'll just use kind of a quick example. If you don't like where you work, you don't like your boss, if you change, if you show him a different side, he's probably going to change. Or you'll see him different or her different, whatever that is. But the other part about it is that you still have the opportunity to move on and go somewhere else if that's better for you. See, it's always a choice, but it's always your choice. It's always my choice. Stop blaming other people for, I hate my job. Why do you hate your job? Is it because you chose something that you don't like to do? Maybe you were kind of forced into it because you needed money. I get that. But then what are you going to stay there? Or you have the opportunity to start to do something different. Everybody has that opportunity. I don't care where you come from. I don't care how much money your family had or didn't have. It doesn't matter if you were beaten as a child or talked to harshly as a child or abandoned as a child. You still have an opportunity. We can't keep blaming other people for our lives going forward. We can't keep dividing ourselves in a world. I mean, we divide ourselves by religion. We divide ourselves by race. We divide ourselves by city, by state, by country. I mean, look, there's lines all over the globe dividing us in some way, putting us in some box. I lived in Manhattan, and the things were it's so crazy that this block would say, my block is safer than your block. What? Does it really matter at that point? Why the division? We live in more of a divided states than a united states.
Mm.
Well, take the opportunity to make the change for yourself.
Yes.
I say this to anybody that's looking at this. You can do this. 100% you can do this if you're willing. And if you really want to see something different. I always say it, no one's going to give it to you.
That's right.
You know me, I could go on forever with these things. I've lived so many decades of so many things going on in my life that made me I thank God for helping me realize the error of my ways, for helping me see. I say, thank you for helping me see when I was blind, being able to hear when I was deaf, and be able to speak true words, the truth. God is great.
Yes.
God is good. God is love. The foundation of all life is love. If you have love, everything is beautiful from there, because love brings you to kindness, and it brings you to empathy, and it brings you to compassion, and it brings you to care, and it brings you all of these beautiful virtues that there are that we could be living by. We could be living by.
I love it, Arthur. Oh my goodness. This has been one of the flagship interviews already. I feel it because everything you're saying is exactly what we're discussing. It starts with me.
Yeah.
You know,
Starts with
is there anything that you would like to give to those as we close out this episode of It Starts With Me? Any last words of wisdom?
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yes.
What always comes to mind, what God always says is be love, period. Just when I would like everybody out there just to take a minute, if they're listening to this later as recorded or now, whatever's going on, is to take a deep breath and feel the love that is right here in your chest. Just feel that. Feel the beauty of that. Feel it to a point where it almost brings you to tears, that there's so much beauty in love, that there is so much beauty in life, and that you, as a human being, have the absolute ability to be love all the time. When you want to see more love in the world, be love. Just sit in that, immerse yourself in that, feel that warmth in your heart, in your chest, and take a deep breath and go, thank you. If you believe in God, thank you, God.
Thank you,
If you
God.
don't, whatever you believe in, thank you to whatever sense of energy that you have, because we're all energetic human beings. We all feel each other and we're all connected, 100% all connected. We all came from one spot. And from there, everything else trickled down. We all came from this. So we're all connected. I don't care what your color is, what your race is, what your religion is. None of that matters. None of it. Please just stop dividing us. Stop removing yourself from everybody else. And stop thinking that everybody else is the enemy. Go out there and love. So thank you so much for having me. I love you, man.
I love you too, man. I
You're
do.
such a bright light and wanting to do these things and to show up and have people on and talk about what's important in life, which is us and the importance of care. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, my friend. Thank you as well. You know, I want to mention this while you're still on the screen. One of the things that you said that I thought was amongst all the things that you've said that were very impactful. You said love, in love with, and you gave a description of what in love with is. And you said giving love and receiving love. And I thought that that was just perfect. It was beautiful. So to be in love with is to give love and receive love, by Arthur Tassinello.
And by the way, it's Tassinello because
Tassinello. Thank you.
Tassinello because it's Italian, not Spanish. But yeah, Tassinello.
Perfect. Thank you. By Arthur Tassinello. If you want to know what being in love is, remember it is giving love and receiving love. That's the complete circle of being
Yeah.
in love. Beautiful. We thank you again for being on It Starts With Me, and we hope to see you again on the show.
Thank you so much, Joel. I appreciate it. And I'd love to come back and maybe we can expand this a little bit more in some different ways. God bless.
Absolutely. God bless. Well, you all heard it. Arthur Tassinello is absolutely a wonderful man. And what he was able to give in these last 45 minutes or so is something that you ought to listen to, rewind, repeat, listen to again, rewind, repeat, and share it with as many people as possible. If you want to get in contact with Arthur, look in the description. All right. Because we love for those of our friends and that those that come onto the show, we love for them to get the credit that they deserve for what their experience has brought them to and what it can do for all others. So please look in the description, There'll be something there to get in contact with him, to seek him out as being your coach in life or relationships, or to find out how to get and to read the books that he has written. We want you to invest inside of yourself because, as always, it doesn't start with everybody else. It starts with you, just as it starts with me. Peace.